Live. I just began recording as well. Welcome to the first Wednesday of September. Your host, Cy Smith, coming to you. Want to talk about several things, you guys, but the first and foremost thing I wanted to do was to share to you guys our leadership. This is our base. Everything we do starts with this base right here. These are the Chicago zip code leaders. Everything I do is centers around these guys and gals that you see here, who without them, it'd be very, very difficult for me to do anything. So as you can see here, it's a mix, male, female. Let me let me add the little annotation here so I can point them out so you guys can see. So of course, these are the zip codes here. These are the zip codes. In each of these zip codes where you see our leaders at, each zip code is linked to a different country in Africa, different US city, suburb, and career field. So every one of these leaders here are helping us in five other ways. And when we talk about the loose change for global change, it's under the same system of zip codes being linked. Your pennies from that zip code goes to that African country. So it's a really, 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 really strategic system and methodology for us to turn things around in our community. So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen for a minute because I just want to focus on something here. So a lot of times um, we can get distracted with all the shooting and killing, the carjackings, the COVID deaths. We can easily have our mind elsewhere. What I think is really, really important for at least the black community to recognize is that I don't think we ever been as close as we are right now. When I say that, think about what our ancestors had to fight to get to this place where we at now. Um, I'm 45. I've never seen slavery. I've read about it. I suffer from the effects of it, but I haven't personally seen it. And to live in an environment where someone could come and get your wife and rape her in front of you. So I always show a certain amount of gratitude just knowing that I'm alive at a time when I don't have to go through or experience that. So where we sit right now, we do have more people locked up now than back during slavery time. We do have the shooting and killing in our neighborhoods all over. We do have areas that's been starved of grocery stores owned by us, businesses that's not owned by us, other ethnic groups in our neighborhood making money and leaving. A political group that takes us for granted, another political group that totally probably can't stand us. So those are bad realities that we face um, as a whole. But I want to share this with you guys because, to be honest with you, a lot of times when you've been at the bottom, when you've been in the struggle for so long, it's hard to even appreciate when you get out or appreciate when you're on your way out. And so, therefore, you keep wallowing in the same situation that you've been in because you don't know anything else. So, I'm about to start two agendas here. I'm about to start speaking um, money, financial dollars, and what that will mean for our community. So I'm gonna be talking dollars and what it translates to in our community. Before I do that, though, I need to make sure that at least we somewhat, you guys know where I'm coming from when I speak this. I personally believe we have six enemies. Enemy is someone who's in opposition to you. So we got six forces that's at play against our community. Three of them are internal, three of them are external. And so everything that I'm gonna speak about solution wise is with this framework in mind. Our internal enemy is the hurt, abuse, and bitterness that each of us suffer. Some people get a chance to get away and decontaminate themselves. Other people stay in a contaminated area and further go through even more hurt, abuse, and bitterness. The external enemy is isolation, starvation, and exploitation. We see it with the corner stores owned by outsiders, a form of exploitation. We see it with the starvation when you just put us in a certain small segment of the city and give it the worst resources. And you see it with isolation in the same regard. This is national. Like if you haven't traveled to a lot of other cities, you probably can't appreciate the gravity of what I just said, but this is almost the playbook everywhere in America. So, what we gonna do about it? What can be done about it? And the great news that I'm gonna share is that there's $4 amounts that I'm gonna be talking about from now on because my confidence is high enough. I feel like I've set the stage enough to where people can digest this. So it's $4 amounts you're gonna hear me talk about from now on this September here. So three of them I'm gonna talk about a whole lot. One I won't speak about that much because it's gonna take us some time to get there. So if you can write this down, this is it. It is $12 million a year. It's $100,000 a year. It's $10,000 a year, and then it's being able to get to $5,000 quickly. Okay, so if you didn't write that down, 12 million, 100,000, 10,000, and then 5,000. And I want to explain that, and I want to make sure that you guys know why I think those six enemies almost won't stand a chance when we do what we have to do when it comes to these dollar amounts. Okay, so before I get to how these dollar amounts are going to translate to real change in our communities, it's important that you know this. We have 108 different meetings every single month. These are career-based meetings. So it's technology. Today is photographers and DJs. These are careers. Every first Wednesday is photographers and DJs. But these 108 meetings allows us to be in position that when we meet a person and we hear what they care about, not what we care about, what they care about, we're able to find out what day that group that is particular to that person's interest meets. Now, what I just described to you is key when we talk about all of these issues, from the violence to the homelessness to the prison population. It still centers around these 108 because these 108 encompasses correction officers, police officers, firefighters, dentists, business people, technology people, construction people. All right. So when we talk about the prisons, for instance, a lot of our brothers went in there because of certain laws and because they were targeted for enforcement. Same laws could be on the opposite side of town, and that area won't be enforced. So we want to make sure that you know these 108. When you get all of these judges together in the zip code structure, all these lawyers together in the zip code structure, you get the children that want to be lawyers in the zip code structure, and you got a date for all of them to be meeting, doing Zooms, getting on the conference call. That means every day we're meeting more people in every profession and linking them with others. That is key to put us in position so that whatever the issue is facing us, we met the people, we linked the people, now they're ready to do what they do. That's important. Okay, so that's what we call retention. Retention. All right, and then growth is on the other side. Growth is constantly meeting new people. Like, we need to constantly meet new people. So that means we have to travel. We have to get out there and meet and go places. This is important. So let me get to the $12 million, $100,000, $10,000, and $5,000. So 4 years ago, when I left the corporate world, I knew, looking at our history, that we hadn't raised $5,000 in donations only twice in our 25-year history. And so I knew that we need to be able to raise $5,000 because for 20 some years, that's been Achilles heel. And so when I looked at the budget, what we were spending, of course, we were spending more than 5 grand because it was coming from me, the excess, but I knew we need to be able to raise 5 grand. Well, we've been fortunate to get almost two groups of $100 people doing um, 50 people doing $100, which is $5,000. So I feel really confident that we've built this $5,000 model. And so with that, having that, being said, the next step is to push toward the $10,000. And we should be there before the November 1st. So before the election, we should be at the $10,000, two groups of $5,000. And this will continue, but at least we'll be there. Now, people say, well, what raising money go do? Keep this in mind. To me, based on our six enemies, travel is the key. Travel is the key. Travel is the intent, is the tangible. The intangible are the 108 meetings that keep happening every single month. So when we meet people under the growth model, they can be retained over here with something that they care about. So travel is that tangible thing that's going to turn all of our neighborhoods around. Travel. And I know people gonna say, well, how is that? How is travel gonna turn my neighborhood around? Here's what I want to make sure people know that the guys that you see out there selling drugs, hanging out, doing nothing, at some point in their life, before the hurt, abuse, and bitterness probably got too strong, had a desire to be something, to be a teacher, to be a DJ, whatever it is. And what I'm saying to you, they may need to get away from Chicago, Gary, get away from their home base where everyone know them and expects them to perform and behave a certain way. They need to be in a different environment so they can be their authentic, natural self and not have to have a guard up in the front up. And here's why this left side, which is the 108 meetings, matter to the guy you see standing on your corner. Now, what's the difference? I can walk on your corner, meet this guy, link him to the people that he want to grow up and become, and the problem would be he's still on your corner. He's wreaking havoc on your corner. He's hanging out in your corner. His traffic is blocking your traffic. So what's missing? Is it linking him with the people we know? No. What's missing is him having a budget to travel, to get away. If he want to be a DJ, that's Milwaukee. If he want to be a teacher, that's Kansas City, Missouri. If he want to be a carpenter, that's Detroit. My point is, by having on the left side those 108 professions, whoever we meet, we get to link them and get them away so they can go to that sister city. I'm gonna let that digest. That's powerful, what I just shared. Okay, that's a big, big deal. That's a big part of what we building or we built. So what I want to make sure people know is keeping that, we call it the spindle, and I'm gonna have a slide. I'm gonna show you guys. The spindle is retention. It just keeps on repeating. It just keeps on repeating. Same thing keeps repeating. And by doing that, anyone we meet over here, because this is going, we just get to plug them in because it's going. We just get to plug them in. Anyone we meet over here, we just plug them in. And because it keeps repeating, if you missed today, we get you next month. Whatever the case is, my point is we're always ready because this thing keeps on repeating over here on the left side. And I'm saying to you guys, that's a $5,000 model, just keeping that going over there with those 108 meetings. And that's for $5,000 model for just 3 months. But I just want to make sure that I start speaking dollars into what we're talking about when we say how we're going to turn Chicago around, turn Gary around. Please note we have to create vibrancy. It's hard to create vibrancy when everyone is afraid to come out and everyone stays in their little silos. This is why travel matters, because what travel does, it brings over a reason for people to come out and interact with who's visiting. We've seen it all over the years when we took teenagers to different cities. It motivated those local teens to come out and see what these Chicago teens is about. So I just want to make sure people know why that's so important. The travel piece, it is is a bedrock of what we're talking about here. So anyway, let me put the dollar amount on it again so you guys can see. So we talk $5,000 to keep those meetings going. Okay, to spindle. Then we're talking about another $5,000 so that we can make sure that the travel is taking place. Some people say, well, $5,000 isn't enough. It's never enough. Like, I don't know. People never go say, okay, I have enough. But if we don't have that, then it makes it harder. So the key is 5,000 is a starting point. But if we got the $5,000 keeping the 108 meetings going here, then we got the $5,000 over here to make sure that people are actually traveling. And travel does things on two fronts. For the person traveling, it does something, and then for the person who they're visiting, it does something. So just imagine when we get to the $12 million. So I just went from the low 5,000 to 12 million. What that means in Chicago and around the nation is $1.2 million of that $12 million would be for travel alone. $1.2 million. All right. And why is that? Because the key is it's 20 neighborhoods in Black Chicago. So that means every one of them 20 neighborhoods will have $5,000 every single month for travel. Imagine your neighborhood. with $5,000 for travel. Do we need everyone to travel? No, we don't. Please know, a lot of the problems in our neighborhood, it's only a small group of people who are the problem. But the masses of people are not interacting with each other. So to travel for that group could cause stronger relationships, or we can target the people who we know is off track. Either way it go, having a budget to get people away is something we don't have right now. And then to do that in all 20 neighborhoods at the same time, now you're gonna have Inglewood and Roseland partnering together using collectively $10,000 to do a joint travel arrangement into San Diego or into Dallas. My point is, when the budget is there, the $12 million, that's 1.2 million a year for travel. That's $60,000 a year for every zip code for travel. That's $5,000 a month for every zip code for travel, and that trickles down to making sure that people are moving around, fighting against one of the six enemies, isolation. By you traveling, you're no longer isolated, thinking in an isolated manner. When you get out and you see what opportunities and what other people have, that emboldens you. That encourages you to be able to press forward. So that's why travel is so big, so big. And I wanted to express that so you guys know how $12 million is going to help all of Chicago. That's going to be a really big deal when you see young brothers at the barbershop, young sisters at the beauty shop talking about where they on their way to now. And it's not just for recreation, it's for nation building, it's for community building. So it's a beautiful big picture thing. So that's the 12 million. Every neighborhood in Chicago is linked to a sister city. And again, remember what I said, when you travel, you benefit, and the person you're going to see is impacted as well. So when we talk about our 20 Chicago neighborhoods, people having a budget to travel, there is a restriction to that. It's not just travel at random. What we're doing is strategic. And so that means it's really travel within those 20 US cities that we're in, because we're building reinforcements inside those cities. So it's important that you operate inside these 20 and you don't go off doing your own thing that has no reinforcement power to what it is that we're building here. So, but that's good. Some of the cities is Los Angeles, Boston, Miami, Detroit, San Diego. You know what I mean? So these aren't little cities. These are some good cities to go and visit. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew what we get for $12,000. For $100,000, that's 5,000 for all 20 zip codes. That's 100 grand. So from the $12 million mark, which is a million a month, that allows us to make sure that every one of our 20 zip codes every single month got 5K to boost travel in exchange for better behavior and all that good stuff. Then you got underneath that the $100,000, which is 5 grand for every zip code. So it's less money. It was 5,000 for every month, but now once we, if we at the $100,000, then it's just $5,000. That's it. Then the other one is the $10,000. What that is, that's 5,000 for those 108 meetings. We call it the spindle. That keeps that going for 3 months. Then the other $5,000 is for travel, and this is the key. We've done the 108 meetings, and people don't know. But when people are traveling, they get to see pictures and see posts. Then it's going to hit home a little bit more real to people, I believe. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that $10,000 get both sides, the left and the right going. The left being the 108 meetings spindle, and the right being travel. Travel for the tours, travel for the conventions. This is all stuff that we're building so that we have a nation that is full of places for people to go and things for people to do. We're going to really fight against our people from coast to coast always being the ones lounging around with no movement, no activity. We're going to really rectify that with this travel piece. That's a big deal. All right. So 10,000, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, 12 million. That's the process. So I want to make sure you guys knew. And our budget is always the same in terms of how we spend money. We spend money on housing, which is the hotels, or in this case, mortgages if we own these properties. We spend money on awards. You see the kids holding up what money they won. We spend money on travel. That's what this is right here. And we spend money on training. It takes a lot to get people comfortable with this. And the last one is manpower. It costs money to have people work for what we're doing here. So I just wanted to put that in your spirit. My last thing here is dealing with the first Wednesday of the month, Black businesses. This month, I mean this week, this Wednesday, all apparel manufacturers and owners. So if you're into fashion and selling, stuff you're producing, this Wednesday call was for you. If you are a beautician, this Wednesday call is for you. If you are a chef, this Wednesday call is for you. A DJ, this Wednesday call is for you. Any form of entertainers, that's from dance, theater, to sports, restaurants. This is a big deal this coming Sunday. Restaurants, we want you on board. Seamstress, people that sew for a living, tailors, and then of course travel agents. That's this week. That's today. We got a couple more hours before it's over for you guys to make sure that you checked in with me to get the lay of the land since the last month we did and find out what's trending. The second Wednesday is beauty supply stores, car washes, cell phone stores, dry cleaners, daycares, gas stations, landlords, nail salons, liquor stores, and realtors. So next Wednesday is gonna be a little packed house. But this is why we do what we do. This is why it's so important for us to have funding from you, so we don't have to go to government and we can be out there constantly meeting people in each of these jurisdictions. So thanks for watching, you guys. I thought it went live, it didn't, but I'll post the video here shortly. Peace.